For centuries, Christians have been taught a comforting story about the eye of a needle. The claim is Jesus was talking about a small, specific gate in the walls of Jerusalem. According to the legend, a camel could squeeze through this narrow passage if stripped of its baggage and forced to its knees. It portrays the warning as a lesson in humility rather than a statement of impossibility. There is no archaeological or historical record of this gate. The myth first appears in medieval commentaries over 1,000 years after the Gospels were written, specifically in glosses like the Catena Aurea. Jesus was using extreme Jewish hyperbole. He was referring to a literal massive camel and a literal iron sewing needle. He was describing a physical impossibility. By using two objects that cannot interact, he was stating that detaching a human soul from the idolatry of wealth is a feat only God can perform. By inventing the gate, later traditions erased the severity of the teaching. It allowed material surpluses to feel spiritually safe. A common assumption today is that Jesus spoke harshly about money because he was a marginalized, destitute peasant driven by class envy. The Greek term tekton refers to a highly skilled structural contractor and artisan. Given the massive stone construction projects in nearby Sepphoris during his life, Jesus likely held a respectable middle-income status before his ministry began. He operated within the rigid agrarian economy of first-century Galilee. This chart illustrates a zero-sum economy. Modern economies can grow, but the ancient world operated with a fixed amount of resources. If one man amassed vast tracts of land, he acquired it by pushing peasant farmers into unpayable debt, foreclosing on their properties. This is why Jesus refers to worldly wealth as unrighteous mammon. In the first century, great wealth was almost always the result of systemic exploitation. His warnings were grounded in these brutal realities. He was addressing the predatory nature of ancient economic survival. We see this clearly in the story of Jesus overturning the tables in Jerusalem. This event is usually taught as a protest against noise and commerce distracting from worship. In the ancient Near East, temples served as the primary depositories of wealth and the keepers of debt records. They were the functional central banks of the ancient world. The religious elite who managed the temple complex were operating a massive financial institution. They held a monopoly on currency exchange and the sale of approved sacrificial animals, taking a percentage from the marginalized poor who were required to participate in these rituals. When Jesus cleared the courtyard, he was physically attacking the literal mechanisms of this banking structure. This was a targeted economic strike aimed at institutionalized greed and the dollarization of the faith. Beyond the historical economics, Jesus addressed the deep psychological grip of money. Today, we treat currency as a neutral medium of exchange. Jesus rejected that idea. He gave wealth a proper name, Mammon, and described it as an active, hostile spiritual entity. He established a strict rule of allegiance. It is impossible to serve both a God of relationship and a God of continuous acquisition. The symptoms of Mammon's control are visible in the hedonic treadmill, the cycle where new purchases bring brief satisfaction before the mind demands more, resulting in chronic financial anxiety. The core struggle for every believer is a binary choice. You are either managing your resources for a kingdom purpose, or you are submitting to a tyrannical master. Jesus illustrated this danger in the parable of the rich fool, a story that directly addresses the desire for endless accumulation. The man in the story is not condemned for his successful harvest. His failure is found in his internal monologue. He speaks only of I and my, ignoring both the poor outside his gates and the God who provided the rain. He believes his barns have secured his future, but that security vanishes the moment he is confronted with his own mortality. Breaking this cycle requires a move from ownership to stewardship. Humans are not the owners of their assets, but temporary managers of God's resources. This liberation is found in radical generosity. It is the process of converting temporary worldly wealth into eternal impact before the final audit comes due.